This is It's Gonna Be Okay with Dr. Roseann, and today we're talking about natural remedies for anxiety and behavioral challenges in kids. So that's what this episode's about. We're going to talk about what are some of the most evidence based approaches that support anxiety, attention, mental health, behavior, because you need to know about how these work. And that is why I'm doing this so you can learn about it and make informed choices. Because honestly, I'm pretty pissed off that you're not getting this information. And in the 3 decades that I've only used holistic therapies to change people's lives, okay? The other day I was in a in the post office and this mom came up to me and she said, "I don't know if you remember me, but you worked with my daughter. It was, probably a decade before and you changed her life." Okay. And how did I do that? Only using natural solutions. And yes, I did change her life, but that mom, man, she was tough cookies. And she was like, this, and this isn't working. I need to do something else. And so let's dive in. Let's talk about and understand why do kids have anxiety? Why are all these behavioral issues even happening? But really, we're in a place where kids have a lot of pressure on them, parents have a lot of pressure on them. This is supposed to be post pandemic. I don't know if it's ever ended. And the amplification, the ramp up of anxiety in human beings is something I've never seen in 3 decades. I'm sure you feel it, and I do, and I'm concerned. And so kids have a lot of pressure. They're doing developmentally inappropriate work at school beyond what really they're supposed to be doing. I always use the example of writing. Kids today do in first grade what they had to do probably a dozen years before in third grade, right? And some kids may be ready and other kids aren't, but the majority of kids have 70% of kids have an average intellect. That means they have to work within developmental expectations. And instead, we're pushing, pushing, pushing. The moment they get into preschool, we're talking about college, and they're just overscheduled. They're on their devices. We have poor food quality. We have overall stress in families. We have genetic variants. And there really is an increase in variants and mental health issues, infections, and toxins, all creating this perfect storm. But you are here and you are ready for doing something different. And it's not just different, it's evidence based approaches. So let's talk about why holistic treatment works, right? So, first of all, holistic treatments work with the body. And if you've been following me, I only talk about evidence based approaches. I don't talk about wackadoodle stuff, right? We're talking about nutrition, we're talking about exercise, we're talking about brain based tools, all things that have evidence behind it, right? But I also believe in a lot of things. And if things are safe and natural and they're working for you, great. I mean, why do we have to have such discord about it? The majority of people are using alternative therapies in their everyday life, from nutrition to supplements, but only 11% of parents are talking about it with their pediatrician. 11%. Why? Because they're afraid their pediatricians or their physicians are going to say, don't do that. But holistic treatments really should be at the forefront because the majority of them, at least the ones I talk about, are safe and evidence based. And we should always be using these tools, these strategies before we prescribe a psychiatric medication. So if you are just listening to me for the first time, I'm 100% opposed to psychiatric medication being the first line of defense. We have developing brains. We need to be more cautious. And just because your physician is handing them out like Skittles does not mean they're okay, right? And go back and listen to those episodes. But we need to talk about some of these evidence based approaches. So let's dive in, right? So, first of all, diet and nutrition. So it really is the basis of how the body works, right? What we put in our mouth affects our brain, of course. The other day ate chocolate, dark chocolate all day. And guess what? Dr. Rowe was jacked up, right? It's good high quality dark chocolate, but not exactly the best choice. Nobody's perfect. And if you're listening to me, please know I only expect you to be an imperfect parent. There is no perfect parenting, and you should aim for 80% good. Okay. And people tell me that resonates with them so much because, gosh, we're under so much pressure, right? But nutrition should always be a family affair. You shouldn't eat garbage, people. If you want your kid to be less anxious, less depressed and moody, better skin, do better in athletics, do get better grades, you got to eat better. And what does that look like? The most evidence-based approach to nutrition is a anti-inflammatory diet. A Mediterranean diet is the most studied diet. And at the base, at the core of an anti-inflammatory diet, you are eating the foods that are less agitating, right? So you are eliminating or reducing dairy, gluten, and sugar. I know you hate my guts. But when you do it, it's so great. You'll feel so much better, and there's great stuff, and I know that I say that I grew up like that. And so for me, it's a way of life, and, my kids are foodies, and, my Max, when he had his pans, I mean, I couldn't even get him to have frosting, and this was a kid that was eating calamari and, lupini beans and super sad, and, if you're Italian, you know what I mean. So he was eating really, really good food, and there was restriction. So I don't want to shame you. I don't want you to feel bad. But even my most restrictive eaters were able to get them to eat more, and we regulate their nervous system. So diet is huge. Okay. Sending your kid off to school with Lucky Charms or even what seems like Honey Nut cereal versus an egg and some sautéed veggies or some fruit, you're gonna get a very different response from your child in their learning, right? So, one of my favorite things in the world, because we can't always get what we need through diet should be the primary, but maybe there's restrictions, maybe your kid is a low eater, maybe there's just a lot of factors. But even if you're an awesome eater like me and the Hodges, we still supplement, right? And we need to supplement because of our genetic variants that are happening that interfere with how our body is able to utilize vitamins. I think that's a big aha shock for people. And of course, my number one favorite vitamin and why I created it is magnesium. And even more than just magnesium, L-threonate and glycinate, which are in our multi-mag brain formula. You can go to drroseann.com/magnesium, are the most evidence-based uh, approaches in terms of magnesium, right, has a lot of evidence to support cognitive functioning, attention, learning, memory, hormones, immune system, on and on and on. You can go to our website, drroseann.com/magnesium. You can read the white paper and learn about it. But magnesium is an essential vitamin. It's the most used nutrient in the body. So somewhere between 300 and 600 processes in the body require magnesium. So it's very hard to get a lot of magnesium in our stressed out world. I'm like a magnesium junkie. I mean, don't try to take away my magnesium. I'm taking a magnesium bath tonight, just to know. So one of the most evidence-based approaches to actually for particularly for attention is physical activity. So there was a recent survey, a large survey done by Attitude Magazine, Chad. Not my favorite because they're in bed with pharma, but it was a good it was a good survey. The number one most effective thing that all those parents said helped their kids with ADD, physical activity. Okay. Only less than 40% of the parents are sharing that with other parents and talking about it. The heck is that? So the number one over everything, over my beloved neurofeedback, over medication. We need physical activity, right? And I'm not against technology. I love technology, but we are on our devices too much at the expense of physical activity and at the expense of play. We're going to lose creativity. We're going to really struggle with boredom. We need physical activity. Prioritize it, make it a family event. So, neurofeedback and PEMF, please go back and listen to all the episodes that I have. I have a series on it on both of these. These are things that I do every day in our brain behavior reset program. I love them. They're amazing, and I've changed thousands of people's life by using neurofeedback and PEMF for all these decades. And neurofeedback really simply it's really a technology that helps your brain to regulate. And in the care of a highly experienced practitioner like myself, we do it with people at home. We only accept a very small amount of people, and you have to be screened. I don't care how complex your problem is. I only work with people who don't identify as rude, demanding, and you will be screened. I will not work with you. So you got a complex problem, but you're awesome and you're nice, please contact us about our brain behavior reset program. But neurofeedback is safe. There are thousands of research studies, 3,000 peer reviewed studies, and it's really a way. It doesn't matter if you have ADHD, it doesn't matter if you have anxiety, mood, OCD. It's about self regulation. So it not only works, I do EEG neurofeedback. What you do matters, and there's different forms for different reasons, and none of them are bad, but some are better for certain clinical conditions. But what it does is it actually really goes in and gets those specific areas in the brain that are not working properly. So for anxiety, it calms down a region that may be overactive, the limbic system. But it really is the magic of neurofeedback is it gets the brain to self-regulate through the learning hubs, the brain communication centers, which really are neurodivergent kids are really struggling there. So it's lovely, and you really need a highly qualified person. PEMF, which I have my own FDA approved device, COM-PEMF, really supports you at the cellular level as well as pulls you into a parasympathetic state and also addresses neuroinflammation and inflammation within the body. And neuroinflammation is one of the greatest threats to mental health. Everyone talks about neurotransmitters, but it's neuroinflammation that is the trend. That is the thing that I'm seeing in 3 decades of supporting families. And all of these things I'm talking about today, in one way or another, is addressing neuroinflammation. It's really shocking for parents when they get on an airplane or drive to me and I show them the brain map. And pretty much everybody's got neuroinflammation today, and it can result from a lot of reasons. Go back and listen to that episode. So, we have to always talk about parenting support and behavior support. So recently, actually today, I read an email from somebody. It's so upsetting. And they were like, this is how they were talking about their child. He needs to change. It is him. And she's literally talking about like a 13-year-old girl and or her, right? So she needs to change. It's a 13-year-old girl. And that is not the attitude to take, right? Even when your kid is like totally dysregulated. I've been there, people. Okay. I'm a PANS mom. Yes, we all have a part of it, but we have a family ecosystem and we need parenting support because we may be frustrated, we may be overwhelmed. That's perfectly normal ways to feel, but you can't just feel like this is all the kid's fault because it's not. But parenting is power. And whenever we jump for a medication, we actually lose our power because nobody is teaching you all the things you can do. And I do that in my calm brain community and other ways. And our self regulation mastery blueprint comes with a calm brain community. And you really need to work from multiple angles. Okay. There's no magic wand. And I always love to talk about success stories. And I have so many success stories when you've worked with so many thousands of kids and people have worked with me in many different ways, right? And, I recently had a mom just send me an email that, she signed up she bought my book. She's been listening to the podcast. She got one of our PANDAS parent kit. And then she decided to come in and work with us in our brain behavior reset. And it was so amazing. She came in with pages of notes. And, she said to me, wow, you really give so many things away that can change behavior. You just have to actually do them. And I'm like, you've been listening to me. And they did so much on their own and what they realized and why did they decide that they actually wanted to come in, even though they saw a lot of change and really helped them to understand that what was happening, what they thought was going on their kid was wrong. And she really wanted to have a brain map. And boy, I'm glad they did because what they thought was completely wrong. And they had spent years going down the wrong path. No fault of their own. They got improper care to the point where it just angered me. And it's really hard to be there with them and hold that space. But she was glad that she took all those steps. And wherever you are on your health journey, you must put one foot in front of the other. And if your child is just sort of okay and you're just sort of band aiding it at a family, it's not okay. And there are solutions. So if you are looking for solutions, you can go to drroseann.com/help. You're going to take her solution matcher. It's pretty awesome. No matter where you are on your journey, right? Maybe you're new, maybe you're experienced, maybe you need a course, maybe you need a supplement, maybe you need to work with us one on one. It's going to guide you to exactly where you need to go. And it's then going to give you resources in your inbox every week to support you. But I hope this was educational. I hope you learned. So many people only come to natural remedies and solutions because they feel like that's all the last stop. No, this is your first stop. Just pick one thing, stick with it for 30 days, and watch change happen.